Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. Now today we're here to check out a very interesting device. Obviously you can see from the title, this is all about the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now if you've been following the channel, you must have known that I unboxed this guy right here about 3 days ago. So in today's video, it's going to be like a 3-day review of what I actually think about the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Definitely there are things that are very obviously improved and things that I still hope to be improved. Now in today's video, this should give you a pretty good idea on how it actually feels like to use this device, the Xiaomi 12 Pro, from an actual user's perspective. Now before I do that, of course, if you could just drop a like and sub to the channel if you want to see more content like this, that will be really awesome. Alright, so now let's check out the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now first up, let's talk a little bit about the design. Now I've already shown you the design, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about it. But generally, overall, I think that the design of the Xiaomi 12 Pro is quite generic. I feel that the back here is actually very nice to touch because it has this very smooth back panel. But I actually kind of scratched it a little bit here and it actually got scratched very easily. So if you're thinking of buying the Xiaomi 12 Pro, I might actually recommend you to get the one in green because that is like a fox leather kind of thing, which won't scratch up so easily. Or if you're the kind of person who use cases, you can just ignore what I just said. But overall, me personally, as someone who likes to use the phone like that without any casing, yeah, it does scratch up pretty easily. Now overall, design-wise, I don't have that much to talk about it, so let's move on to the next thing and talk about what's more important, and that is actually in the display itself. Now at the front here, we have a very awesome display, and what I mean by that is, let me just share with you the numbers. We have a 2K display, LTPO, OLED display. It also comes with a 120Hz refresh rate. We have the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. Apart from that, it supports HDR10+. It has a DisplayMate A+ rating. And of course, you also have a 480Hz touch sampling rate. So that's a whole lot of numbers. But generally, what this really means is that the display here is super awesome. And I really mean that because I've used a ton of devices these days, and the display on the Xiaomi 12 Pro here is really so good. You have very good contrast levels, awesome saturation levels. You can watch all those kind of HDR10+ content. It even supports Dolby Vision. So if you go onto YouTube and look for that kind of videos, you'll be actually able to enjoy a really crazy immersive viewing experience on the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now, apart from that, I also must say that everything is obviously buttery smooth with that 120Hz refresh rate. Overall, I'm just very happy with this display. It goes up to 1500 nits when you're outdoors, so you will never ever have any issues seeing the display under very bright sunlight. So that's really good. Overall, I think DisplayMate gave a good rating here, A+, because it really is an A+ level display. Now, one thing that I did not really fancy about it is, although yes, I did mention that it is a curved display before, it is nice to look at, but I also suffered from quite a few accidental touches to the sides. It is quite easy to actually get that accidental touch, definitely more so than I expected when I did the unboxing video, because when you use your eyes to see, you might think that it's just a very minor curve, but when actually using it, again, without a case, it was quite prone to accidental touches on the side. So again, if you are using a case, I guess that will solve everything. Alright, now let's move on to the next point here and talk a little bit about the cameras at the back, because this is also something that I really want to highlight in today's review. Now bear in mind, I've went outdoors and both in day and at night, and I've taken like more than 100 photos here, so I definitely have a good idea on how to share with you guys. Now generally, we have 3 sensors at the back here. We do have a Sony IMX707 50 megapixel main sensor with OIS. Moving down, we also have a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and last but not least, we also have a 50 megapixel telephoto lens that supports 2x optical zoom. Now the good thing here is that Xiaomi has actually did very well in terms of the software part of things. Whenever you shift from the main sensor to the ultra wide, you won't notice that much of a change in terms of the exposure and the colors and all that. It is actually quite consistent. Now, but down to the real image quality, how did it actually look like? Well, this is what I have to tell you. Now, in daytime, good broad daylight, obviously, cameras these days on flagship devices always perform very well. In terms of nighttime as well, it also captures quite a fair bit of detail, but there is only one major issue which I think, to me personally, is something that I did not really like, and that is most of the photos, if not all the photos, even without AI mode turned on, look super saturated. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of samples here. I'm going to put a side by side with an iPhone photo because iPhone 13, usually they take the most natural kind of images. So just to give you an idea or a perspective on how saturated the photo actually looked like compared to the real thing. Here's a side-by-side view compared to an iPhone 13. So you can see here that on these kind of photos here, it's really super saturated. Even when I took a picture of the grass, the greens were just so green. It's so green, guys. So this is just something that I noticed here on the sensor of this Xiaomi 12 Pro. It's just very saturated. Now, in terms of the video recording, I also took a very short video earlier on. Now, the good news here is that the OIS works really well. Everything is very stable. But again, we still have the issue of super saturated video. So if you just take a short video of you walking down the park, you will notice that everything is just boof. It's just crazy vivid, guys. So yes, unless you're the kind of person who likes to do a lot of post-processing, you can actually reduce the saturation. No issues there. But yeah, this is just something that I would like to point out based on the auto settings on the camera of the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now, moving on, let's talk a bit about some nicer things here. Let's talk a bit about the processor. We do have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which is actually a 4nm processor, very advanced and efficient. And of course, we also have your UFS 3.1 storage. You also have your LPDDR5 RAM. So obviously, everything is just going to fly because again, this is flagship level stuff. So everything you do on the device is buttery smooth. Everything reacts instantly. Launching apps is very fast. And of course, if you play a bit of gaming, you can definitely play most of your games on the highest graphic settings. Now, in terms of overheating and all that, so far I've played a couple of games here. I didn't really play Genshin Impact. I played a couple of Mobile Legends as well as Asphalt 9. And I noticed that the device here did actually heat up, but it wasn't as hot as how I experienced on the previous Snapdragon 888. Another thing that is also worth mentioning here is that the frame rate was actually more stable. What I mean by that is after playing long periods of time of gaming on this device here, I actually didn't feel any like lags or drop in frame rates and all that. So overall, I would say that the gaming experience is still alright on the Xiaomi 12 Pro. You don't have to worry about that there. Now, let's move on to the next thing and talk a little bit about the haptics, of course, because that's also very important. Haptics-wise, you do have the X-axis haptics, so everything is just very nice here. Interactions feels very good. But there's also one major thing that I want to highlight here, and let's talk a little bit about MIUI 13. Now, MIUI 13 is supposed to be the big upgrade from MIUI 12, and I think that Xiaomi has done quite a fair bit here to actually improve the operating system. Now, in terms of the bugs, obviously, this is still a China version software, so I can't really comment on that. But Xiaomi introduced the widgets into MIUI 13, and I must say that they are a whole lot fun to use, and they're really very interactive. So if you take a look here, you can actually see in the list of widgets, yes, although they do look a little bit like iOS, but there is just so much more types of widgets inside. And another thing I noticed here is that Xiaomi is actually opening the widgets kind of thing to developers, so developers can go crazy with all kinds of widgets. So I think that's definitely very fun, and it adds a lot of touch of personality for me on the Xiaomi 12 Pro. So that's definitely something that I love the most on MIUI 13. Now let's move on to the next thing and talk a little bit about the battery in the back. Now we do have a 4600 mAh battery. Yes, I was still able to pull in a full day from morning till night, even after taking a lot of photos as well as videos. And yes, by the end of the day, I have about like 30%. The good news here is that the phone itself is able to charge from 0 to 100% in just 18 minutes using the charger, the 120-watt charger that came in the box. So very fast charging over there. Xiaomi is also saying that it can do fast wireless charging, but I don't have a wireless charger at the moment, so I can't report on that. Alright guys, I think the last thing that I probably want to highlight here is in terms of the speakers. We do have dual stereo speakers, which doesn't sound like exceptionally well. It just sounds alright, sounds good. Nothing to complain about that there, but yeah, there's the two dual stereo speakers, and you do not have a headphone jack. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this very quick 3-day kind of review from the perspective of an actual user. Yeah, I do have my SIM card inside. And yes, if you do have any further questions, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. Of course, once again, if you do like this video, don't forget to drop a like, sub to the channel to see more tech content like this. And I hope to see all of you guys in the next one. Stay safe, everybody. Bye!